Coming up on the Sheasby podcast. And this will trigger some vegans, but you know, like it's actually carbon negative if you do it correctly.
So you got rapeseed oil, which just sounds awful for you. Reached out to me and he's like, you know, you're actually cutting off the blood supply to your brain and you're cutting off the flow of spinal fluid.
Sheasby podcast, check it out.
The Sheasby audio experience.
Train by day, Sheasby podcast by night, all day. Here we go. The man is here. Hello.
You know, I like that suit, mate. That's fresh.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, I thought of it the other day, so I think I might just start wearing it every time. It can be my signature thing.
Yeah, that's fucking cool, man.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. It's a beautiful day. No complaints. Yeah,
Great to hear. This has been like a long time coming, I swear. Like, because I swear we were talking about doing this before you went to Peru, and that was, how long ago was that? Like December or even earlier?
About 2 months ago now.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What were you doing in Peru?
So in Peru, I went there to do ayahuasca. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a plant medicine, and it contains DMT, which is like a pretty powerful psychedelic. So yeah, I was doing that for 10 nights in like the Amazon jungle with some like shamans, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about this, and also I'm sure people listening, like, what makes someone want to go and do that? Because it's quite the, you know, trek all the way from the UK to Peru to go and do this. So like, what kind of made you want to do it?
Yeah, it's far. It took 24 hours just to get near to the place. What made you do it? Like, I'd been through a lot of personal development work over the years, and like overcome things like smoking weed every day, like partying hard on the weekends, like just all these things that would like not giving a good quality of life, just escapes from it. And after 2 years of like pretty much getting rid of all those bad habits, like just like a feeling remained that there's more, that there were thoughts and feelings and just things inside of me that were weighing me down. And yeah, I couldn't figure out a way to break past it, so I was like, I just need something extreme, like I need to do something crazy. So yeah, that happened.
Okay, so you felt you had like things from the party days or whatever was still kind of like holding you back a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, things that I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. It just felt something was lingering, like just like a weight that was holding me back.
Okay. And then how did you find out about like ayahuasca and stuff? Because I heard Joe Rogan talk about DMT and stuff before, but
yeah,
do you even remember?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I came across it. Like, Graham Hancock was definitely a big influence in all the things he was sharing about it, mostly on the Joe Rogan podcast, where yeah, that was like the main guy. Like, I'd seen a few documentaries on it, a few other people on YouTube. Yeah, like it just popped into my head one day. Like, I'd known about ayahuasca for years, but I'd never thought much of it. And one day I was just like really down, and just ayahuasca came into my brain. I just watched the documentary, and like literally like a week later I'd like booked my trip. It was done.
Yeah. Okay. So like, would you say that has like what's happened like since then? Did that get rid of the like weight you kind of felt was holding on to you still, or?
For a short period of time, yes. Going through the ceremonies, lots of things happened, very emotional, like highs and lows emotionally. Literally having like crazy visuals, energy just being released from like all parts of my body, feeling like I was going to explode.
Wow.
Literally feeling like I'd like a demon ripped off my back. Like I felt it. Like imagine you got like PVA glue on your back and it sticks, and there's someone's pulling it off. Like imagine that's literally what I felt.
Wow.
But from like the core of my ribs and my spine. Yeah, I felt like a new man afterwards. I felt lighter, I felt stronger, I felt confident. And then I came back to the real world and quickly got beaten down again. So yeah, I'm trying to deal with that now.
Yeah, because I saw you had like a video called, I think it was Ayahuasca Didn't Fix Me or something.
Yeah.
So would you say it's only people who have had like a lot of like trauma, I guess, or like problems in their life who should... Well, I'm not saying that you were recommending this, but like it's not like most people don't need it or wouldn't benefit from it, do you think?
It's a tricky one because when you do things like ayahuasca, like it's very much a trial by fire. Like it could go well, like in quote marks, or it could go bad in quote marks. Because ultimately I believe you get what you need, but if you're not willing and open to accept what you get, it can be very like traumatic. You can be shown things that you didn't want to face. Like you've got to be really wanting to change. Like you've got to feel like a strong desire to change. You've got to be willing to do the work. Like if you're thinking I'm just going to go to ayahuasca for fun, like don't do that, because like it probably won't be fun. Like it'll probably be very horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend for everyone.
Yeah, not right. Well, this is not really a recommendation. Like people made their own minds, so.
Yeah, of course.
I have no idea anything about this stuff. I'm not really interested in it too much, to be honest. Well, I'm interested, but like I don't think I would ever do anything like that, to be honest.
But it's good. It means you're not mentally broken. Like you've got yourself together, mate. So that's a very good sign.
Well, I like to think so. Yeah, okay. And then I heard you talk about this, not on here, but before, like we've talked before, you were saying it was almost like a spirit, like as if you were calling it like she or like her, the ayahuasca spirit. Like, so what are your thoughts on like spirituality? Do you think we're... Because I got a quote here I read the other day from this book. I wrote it down because I thought it made me think of you. It's like, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I deeply resonate with that. I believe that to be true. It's a big old question, but yeah, it's a vast topic that goes very deep. But like my sort of simple overview of it is just from a physics point of view. I like to start in this realm where we believe everything's matter, right? Like everything's made of atoms, and those atoms are 99.9% empty space, which is weird because I can't put my hand through this hand, even though all of it's practically nothing. Like we know this. The atoms are made of subatomic particles, the proton, the neutron, the electron.
Yep.
Those elements are each made out of quantum elements.
Quarks. Yeah.
Yeah, like quarks, leptons, like I can't remember. I think there's two more.
Pions and mesons, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
They are things. I don't know if that's a subcategory or a larger one though.
Yeah, so like you've got like these four quantum elements, and they're all the same apart from the way they vibrate at any one point in time. That's what defines them as like the quarks, the leptons, the boson. I can't remember the other two.
Peons? Yeah, pions. Pions, yeah, not peons.
Yeah, we can figure that out in the future. But essentially at this quantum level, right, everything's just like a field of vibration.
Yeah, because there's even... I'll quickly just add, I'm pretty sure there's this theory like the wave-particle duality, which I might be losing some people here, but I'll try and keep it simple. There is a theory that like particles like often behave like waves and waves often behave like particles. So they always said that light is a wave, but then now they're starting to think there's this particle, oh, what's it called? I can't remember, but there's a particle, they think like particles and waves almost could possibly be the same thing because they display similar characteristics. So there is some theories that there's not actually matter, it's just energy. Well, it is matter, but it's like, it's just energy moving around. It's not even like a physical particle.
Yeah. For sure, man. Like, and that's essentially where we're at, right? At the quantum level. Like, I'm not sure what's below the quantum level at like a physics standpoint.
I don't think they know. I think that's how far we've got so far.
Yeah. But like essentially even at the quantum level, like, and even thinking of quantum like elements as like particles, like we're not even sure on that. The quantum world gets very weird very quickly. Like
time breaks down, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So when we're in this quantum realm, it's like, okay, you've made it to like the first dimension, the ultimate field of where all energy and all laws of the universe exist at once. Like the law that says when I put my hands together, they repel each other, even though there's nothing physical stopping it. Like that's built in at this very core. The law that says when a mass the size of the Earth rotates at a certain speed, a pen this weight drops at this speed with air resistance. All of that, it's all coded in from that very like quantum layer. And we're from it as well. Us as humans, we're part of that quantum layer. So in that way, like physics describes how we're all connected. It's like that's sort of where my spiritual beliefs stem from.
That's interesting because a lot of people say that like religion, maybe not spirituality so much, but that it doesn't really work with science. But I think the way you've said it there really does kind of link it well, because it is all just energy at the end of the day.
Yeah, like Einstein, Tesla, like Einstein basically says, I'm paraphrasing, his like everything's energy and that's it. Tesla says, if you want to know the secrets to the universe, understand vibration. Like all the big scientists in the world, like science is a way to explain these spiritual phenomenon, like in my opinion.
So do you think, like, what do you think happens after we die? Do you think we have like a soul that goes and joins something else, or because what do you?
I'm not sure, like, because I don't remember any of my past lives. So if I die and there is a soul that goes somewhere, will it remember being incarnated? Probably not, because then all of us would know that already. My most recent beliefs about it is I like to think of us humans as like phones, devices, and the spiritual realm is like the internet. So even when the phone breaks, the internet's still there. There's just nothing to access it.
There's nothing to. That's interesting, yeah. Because, yeah, okay. Because I think like there's. I don't really believe in afterlife or anything, but I think it's kind of somewhat like satisfying. Is that the right word? Kind of comforting to know that like your atoms will go back to the world and kind of be. Well, also, as you think about like the circle of life, almost like you go back to the soil, and then probably go into a tree, and then the energy goes from a tree to say like a, I don't know what I was going to say grass, but now I said a tree, so a giraffe or something eats it, and then. You know, that's the thing. I think I almost believe in like kind of a bit like you said, like the power. Because I always used to say no, I'm not religious. I kind of used to think religion was kind of like I respected it, but I just kind of thought it was dumb. Like there's no way there's just some big guy up there just doing this stuff. And then now I kind of believe in like I guess the energy, the power of the universe. I would call it Mother Nature. I don't know, but like, and that works with science. I think how it all like flows. There's like life flowing through stuff. Because I think it's. If you really think about how crazy it is, like what separates me from like this pencil, it's like, well, how am I conscious? You know, it's just crazy. But I think it's nice to know that it all kind of will go round and will be part of something else, even if we don't know it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a crazy ecosystem how it works. Like, And that's a great example of this divine intelligence, so to say. Like, the word divine might creep people out. I don't know what other word to use, but like at that base quantum level where the energy and the intelligence exists, like the facts that humans break down and can turn back into trees, like, and we don't have to do anything. No one does it. It just does itself. Like, and I think that's a great example of just, because it's hard to understand intelligence outside of the human, like, but then you see things like the Amazon rainforest, like, try, do you know what I mean? Start with nothing and create a plant, create a single plant, like, that can reproduce perfectly. Like, it's pretty damn hard. Yeah, like, these massive rainforests do it by themselves, and they evolve and they survive, and like,
we're all part of the same thing at the end of the day, really. There's some other quote about that. It's like, when the blood, what is it? When the blood in your veins returns to the rivers and the earth in your bones returns to the ground, you'll remember that it's not the land that belongs to you, but it's you that belongs to the land, or something like that. And it's like, we're from the land. We might think, oh, we're all civilized now and we're really kind of, I don't know, intelligent, better than all these other animals, but we still need to like work with nature. And I think we're kind of seeing some of the negative effects of that, how humans are kind of just not really being so great in that relationship recently.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a big separation between like the human. It's like us versus the world, like, as if we're superior intelligence. Like, yeah, nature created us from like a sperm and an egg and like the food. Like, we literally, nature literally transformed food and water into these supreme conscious beings. Like,
yeah.
So, and we think we're like superior to that. It's like,
we still need to like work with it, like respect it and stuff. I think this is kind of might be a good segue into kind of the carnivore diet and keto, which I know you've been trying, because I was just going to mention, like, I don't know if you're aware of it, regenerative like agriculture, where I think the most famous one's probably White Oak Pastures in Georgia, but they're grazing the cows and like the chickens. I think it's all in the same field. They have like trees, and like it's basically kind of letting the ecosystem almost be in like one massive field together. And it's like, and this will trigger some vegans, but you know, like it's actually carbon negative if you do it correctly, which people might be like, no, meat's terrible for the planet. And it's, if you do it right, because I think it's like the cow manure like takes carbon back into the soil, makes the, and they've done studies on it. You can see that in that farm I just mentioned that their organic matter's gone from like 0.5%, so carbon, to like 5%, and it's like really dark soil. That's a whole nother conversation about the whole, is meat bad for the planet, but we can do that if you want, but I don't think it is necessarily. But like when you treat the ecosystem how it's supposed to be, it kind of works pretty well. So yeah, as I was saying, go on.
I was just going to say, eat meat, save the humans.
Yeah. It is also extremely nutritious. Yeah, I was going to ask you about, I know you've been doing keto recently, but before you've done carnivore. I know you made some videos about it. I don't think I've actually watched them. Well, I've watched some of them, but how was that for you? Because I think you said that was the best you felt.
Yeah, for sure. So like the transition to carnivore from eating like just a standard like American diet of junk, processed foods, highly processed carbohydrates, sugar.
Standard UK diet.
Yeah, the
for us.
standard UK diet. The standard American diet is cool because it's an acronym that just says SAD, which is very much how we feel, or how I felt.
It's good.
But yeah, doing the carnivore diet, the first 2-3 weeks were rough, but after that, I felt great. And then I just buckled due to my own mental instability and thinking I'd be fixed after 30 days, not knowing it actually takes 3 months for your mitochondria to regenerate enough times to become fat adapted, and that's when you really get the benefits. And I think apart from, so like there's the dopamine detox aspect of it, there's removing all of the junk so your body can actually heal itself, and then there's the mitochondria aspect of being in ketosis. Without going too deep, mitochondria produce ATP, which is the fuel for your brain. It's the fuel for everything. And when your mitochondria are damaged through all this junk food and inflammation, it reduces your ATP levels. So you feel like tired, lethargic, like your body physically doesn't have the energy. And the carnivore diet reboots all of those systems, and combined with the dopamine detox effects, you just feel alive, focused, ready to go.
Yeah, so it's just, well, yeah, I have definitely heard stuff about those disgusting vegetable oils leading to mitochondria dysfunction. And I do know a lot of people who say, oh, I feel tired all the time. It's just like, we just eat trash. If you didn't eat trash, your body would work better. I think it's a good link back to how we were saying how you kind of got to be in, like, symbiosis, is that the right word? In, like, working with nature, and this, you see this ancestral diet now, it's kind of getting popularized. I know Carnivore MD has like 1 million followers on Instagram now. Liver King has like 1.7 million. I know he's a bit, you know, taking steroids and stuff, but people, like, it's helping people. I think people really want it. And how did you get into it? That's what I'm wondering, because I know you know Ken Berry. I know you've watched some of his stuff.
Yeah. So like when I was at my old work, a friend told me about the carnivore diet, and he was doing it for weight loss. He'd read the Carnivore Code, I think, by Dr. Sean Baker. I might be mixing up titles.
No, yeah, you are. Carnivore Code is by Paul Saladino, and I think Sean Baker's book's just called The Carnivore Diet.
Yeah. So yeah, he'd read the Carnivore Diet by Sean Baker, told me about it. I dismissed it immediately. I was like, mate, you're gonna die.
Sounds
like,
crazy,
like, yeah, it's like, you're nuts. Like, what about the vegetables? Where are you gonna get nutrients from? You need carbohydrates for energy. Like, you're literally killing yourself. And then I learned about it, and beef's perhaps the most nutrient-dense product you could eat on the planet in terms of bioavailable nutrients your body can actually use.
And unique nutrients as well, without getting too deep into it, but stuff like creatine, carnosine, carnitine, anserine, taurine, like, it's very hard to get any of them in like appreciable amounts in vegetables or like plant-based foods. Oh, and like vitamin B12, there's quite a lot actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I mainly did it just for like mental health reasons. I'd heard loads of people had done it, and just their like years, decades of depression have been lifted. Like, they'd got mental clarity, their energy was back. So that's why I did it. And yeah, I got quite a lot of those benefits. Like, I just didn't hold out long enough because I was still of the identity of someone who was just trying it. Like, I was counting how many days I did. Like,
you weren't fully invested in it as like a long-term kind of lifestyle, I guess.
No.
So what did you say the reason was for stopping? Did you say you kind of crumbled, or you just you thought you would get the benefits and then you'd keep them even if you just did it for a short amount of time?
Yeah, like, so it unfolded. So there's been quite a few times I've done it and crumbled, but like, I specifically remember. So there's a strong pattern, right? Like, I get to about 30 days, I feel great, I feel amazing, so I start introducing other things back in, like, and I'll tell you this one story because it's really cool.
We like good stories.
Yeah, it was good. So I'd been eating beef, and I thought I was about a month in, felt great. I thought I'd treat myself. I have some mayonnaise with my beef. And
Ooh.
as soon as I ate, yeah, it's a good treat, right? Bit of mayonnaise, like it was had no carbs or anything. I ate it. I felt really good after I ate it. Then just sort of started feeling a bit weird afterwards. I woke up the next day with the most intense cravings ever for junk food. Just boom, like that after eating the mayonnaise.
Wow.
Like powerful cravings. And it's interesting because mayonnaise is about 80% seed oils.
Yeah, I was about to
And
say that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, does seed oils cause cravings? From
I've
my experience, yes.
seen some evidence saying it's only in animal studies, I think, but how the breakdown products of linoleic acid, I think it's 2-AG and anandamide. It's the same endocannabinoid system as like when people smoke weed, the munchies they call it, I'm pretty sure. It's the same. It's very similar chemicals, activates the same thing. So that's why if you look on a lot of processed food, that's seed oils and everything. I think it's just to make people. It makes you want to eat more. Kind of hacks your satiety mechanisms. And if anyone doesn't know what I mean by seed oils, it's like corn, canola, cottonseed, sunflower, soybean. Basically anything that comes from a seed or a bean. Peanut, even peanut oil, I'm pretty sure counts.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got rapeseed oil, which just sounds awful for you. Like, and that's what most mayonnaise is, man. It's literally 80% rapeseed oil.
Go and look at like vegan mayonnaise. It's even worse. It's like it doesn't even have any egg in it. It's just like seed oils and like water and maybe some like soy protein.
Yeah.
What a scam. So when you went from carnivore, when you like kind of said you transitioned off, you didn't go back to junk food, did you? You were just adding in, was it keto friendly kind of stuff?
For a short period of time, yes. Like, so the first time I like added in some peanut butter, I had some lemon and ginger tea. That was going well. And again, the cravings just came back for me. Like the depression came back on, and I just went back to the junk food like very, very quickly. And that's a repeating pattern whenever I add, and it's usually like plant foods back in, like bad things happen.
Dodgy plants. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And loads of people speak about this. What's his name? There's like another big name in the carnival community.
Anthony Chaffee,
Yes, that's him. Like
the plant
he's
free
like-
MD. I haven't
Yeah,
even watched much of his stuff. I just recognise the name. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so he shares the story of like he'd been carnivore for ages. He'd go to his mum's house to eat some lamb. She'd season it with herbs. He didn't want to be rude and scrape the herbs off, and he ate it. The next day, crippling depression, suicidal thoughts, like awful.
What?
And he was like, "That's weird." Like,
That's crazy.
yeah,
For a
So
bit
he
of
went back-
herbs.
Yeah,
Damn.
for a bit of herbs, like, and he went back a few days later once he felt himself again. He ate more of the lamb and herbs. Same thing, suicidal thoughts, depression, like.
And he's struggled with that kind of stuff before, right?
He said
Surely.
mildly, but like, he's had his fair share of things. He sort of downplays it a bit, but
Okay, yeah. I also heard like Michaela Peterson. She calls it like the lion diet, which is just steak and water, and salt. She was saying how. I think it was on her website, something like a lot of people get stuck on this diet because they're like trying to heal. And a lot of people talk about that. I think there's a website called like meatheals.com. It's got a bunch of like success stories or whatever. But the way she was saying it was like it's almost didn't want to be on it. It's just if you want a different diet, it just felt way worse. Would you say you kind of relate to that a little bit with your problems? Like you said you're mostly on it for the mental health benefits.
yeah, definitely.
Do you like doing it? Like, did you actually like the food, or is it kind of you're like it's almost like a trade-off? I'd rather eat this than eat other things and then feel terrible afterwards.
Yeah, it's definitely. So I love the food. First of all, I love meat. That's my favorite thing. Like
Yes.
meat, eggs, like butter, like give me all of it. Like,
Beef,
I've
butter,
always,
bacon, and eggs.
yeah, all of it, man. Like, and I've always despised vegetables. Like, you can ask my mum, I would never eat a vegetable. She used to try to trick me. She'd bring the milkshake powder over and be like, "Look, it says vegetable oil on the milkshake powder. Like, if you like milkshakes, you should like vegetables." It's like, double poison.
Vegetable oils. Okay.
Yeah, it is a trade-off, but I'm same as like Michaela Peterson. The negative side effects of eating like palately pleasurable foods like sugar and like fried chicken, I just it just brings me to my knees. Like it's horrible.
Yeah, I'd say I'm not. I guess I'm kind of similar to that. I've never done carnivore. I do want to try it, but I don't eat like any junk food, any processed food. I still eat like fruit. I still eat like some vegetables, kind of when my parents make it. I'm just like, I eat white rice and like potatoes every a decent amount, but like I do mostly try and eat as much meat as I can get away with. But even that, like if I eat like, I don't know, sweets, chocolate, like cake or anything, like I will feel bad afterwards. I'm not going to be like depressed and suicidal, but like I just feel like awful. Like I feel fat, you know, your skin's just like ugh. And I kind of feel bad in two ways. I feel like I feel physically bad, and then I also feel like I'm neglecting my body. So it's been pretty easy for me to cut all that stuff out, to be honest, because I just kind of knew why I was doing it. And that's something I want to get into now, because I sent you that debate. Did you watch that debate between Carnivore MD and Ken Berry?
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Because I know you kind of got into keto a lot, and I think that's interesting because Paul used to be on keto, strict carnivore, but then he had a few like problems, and now he's eating fruit and honey as well. So did that change any of your mind or made you think about anything?
Yeah, it definitely made me think, and I feel in the future I could potentially transition to a more like animal-based diet, as like Paul Saladino calls it, where you're eating mostly meat, but he gets like 200 grams of carbohydrates through fruit and honey, which is a lot.
He's very active though. I'm pretty sure he does like 3 hours of surfing a day. So that's
Yeah.
what Ken was kind of arguing there, was that not everyone is like you, so they don't need that many, which I think is probably correct.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he could probably easily burn up all of that, like all of his glycogen stores he burns up each day and just replenishes it. Like, so if there's not actually any excess blood sugar in his bloodstream, like you don't get the insulin response. Like, it's not the same as sitting at home, like just eating potatoes.
There are also some interesting studies that he often brings up, that there's studies they give, I think it's mice, so it's not like it's not perfect, but it's something. They give them sugar, like table sugar, and they have like all sorts of problems, like their blood markers get worse. But then when they give them fruit, they either get better or stay the same. So it seems like the sugar in the fruit is kind of almost different from the isolated sugar. Now, I haven't really looked into this too much, but I think that's kind of interesting that a lot of people don't look at that. But then I think carnivore probably is best for some people. But I think people almost fear carbs a little bit too much. What is it? I think insulin does actually have some like recovery benefits, so it's not. I don't know if people should fear it. Like obviously, like having like super high blood sugar and stuff is not good all the time. But I think what Paul talks about is he eats the carbs, and then he's more focused on how quickly it comes back down than necessarily the spike. I mean, I don't really feel I know enough about this. It's kind of, I know enough to talk about it a bit, but like I can't properly kind of say either way.
No, I feel you there, man. But I think it just depends on people, like, because Paul Saladino, he did keto he was like a vegan first, and then he moved to keto, or like pure carnivore, just like meat-based, no carbs. And he did that for like several years, I think.
I think it was about 1.5, 2 years. It wasn't crazy long, but long enough.
Yeah, so like in that time span, like his body could have healed itself, like the mitochondria regenerating, the inflammation being cleared out, and then reintroducing carbs, like that's very different.
Yeah, because a lot of people have their whole gut is kind of messed up, and like you're talking about the mitochondria, that's true actually.
Yeah, so he could have healed himself, and then his body's like, okay, so now we're fixed. Like, let's fix these electrolyte issues. Let's fix these muscle cramps. Like, and you do that by having carbs, which like signals to the kidneys, I think, to not excrete so many electrolytes. So there are definitely benefits of carbs. But timing's important. Like if you're surfing for 3 hours and your body's already healed itself through carnivore, like that's different to like a depressed person with IBS and no gut microbiome. Just like, I'm gonna eat chips all day. Like,
yeah, completely agree. I think that's like really important with the context, which I think is kind of a bit of a problem with like, I guess Western healthcare generally. Is like it's almost like a one size fits all, and if that doesn't work, just throw a pill at you.
Yeah.
Take this. Which is, I mean, it's easy to critique it, but like I know it's not easy. Like you see, the NHS and got enough like people for everything, and like it takes money to do like a, you know, customize it to everyone. But that is what you want to get to, ideally, I think.
Yeah, it's like there's lots of pros of pills, right? Like as a doctor, it's much easier to get someone to take a pill than it is to transform their lifestyle and go on like the carnivore diet. Like the pharmaceutical companies have an interest that pretty much most of the further education doctors have, like, and this is coming from people like Ken Berry, is from the pharmaceutical companies, which say to them like, okay, you've done your doctorate 4 years at medical school, like let us teach you about this pill. Like
it's like I feel like it's almost too connected.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure big pharma funds like it's definitely the majority. It's over 50% of the studies, and that's not that. To be honest, there are benefits to that because like you get the studies done, you know, but then there's like conflict of interest and all this stuff. So it does come with its problems.
Yeah, for sure. It's like symptom treating. It's not root cause treatment a lot of the time.
Yeah. So you're on keto right now, is that correct?
It's more carnivore. I'd called it keto, so then I could add seasonings and make it more mentally like sustainable.
Okay.
But I've removed them now because I wasn't feeling great.
Yeah. Okay. And I know you kind of got your brother on that as well. How's he doing?
Yeah, he gave up after like 4 days. Like the keto flu came in. He's like, "Oh, I'm dizzy. And, like, I've got no energy. Like, I'm confused." I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." Like, yeah.
So what's he doing now?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, whatever he does, it seems to work for him. Like, he's always got energy and everything. So I don't necessarily think he needs to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So did you see yourself doing this like a lot into the future, a long time into the future, keto? Or carnivore, whatever you call it.
Yeah, I'd probably say carnivore, just because like I've got a very addictive nature, like to pretty much anything. Like, so with things like sugar and carbs, like even seasonings, it lights up those similar neural circuits, and like once they get going, like they're just going, like they're seeking reward for as little input as possible. So it's like it's a race to the bottom when they get going. So having carnivore is just like strict rules to be like, just eat meat, just eat eggs, butter. Like if it comes from an animal, eat it. It's so simple, and then there's no wiggle room. It's like, oh, well, you could have a Jaffa cake, like, which just isn't a thing for me. It's like
Yeah, I'd agree with that. A lot of people say, oh, all things in moderation, but I think for a lot of people, it's easier to have none than have like one. It's like someone gave the example, like say someone's trying to quit, like I don't know, cocaine or something, and you can say, oh, you can have a little bit each week. You think they're gonna have more success doing that than if they just completely get rid of it? And for sure, like originally, it's gonna be hard to just go cold turkey on stuff, but like you said, even if you have a bit, like those cravings come back. So I just find it easy to cut it out, to be honest, completely.
100%, man. 100%. And there comes a point where it's like what happened with drinking for me. Like the 3-4 day hangovers and mental brain fog and just not feeling good are no longer worth the 1 day of feeling good, because I've now made my baseline quality of life so good that sacrificing that isn't worth it.
So that I don't know if you heard it, the Jordan Peterson's drinking song edited by Akira the Don. It's like this is funny. It's a song about how like you need something in your life that's worth not getting drunk for and messing up, because he's saying how alcohol is like it's an amazing drug and that's why people love drinking it, but you need something else that's like stronger than that, which sounds like you kind of found more purpose, more like quality of life from other things.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So a bit this is kind of random, but it's something I was just wanted to ask you. Like, how did you? Because how old are you now? Like 20.
22.
22. Don't you have a house at 22?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because I swear, like, not many people manage to get a house that young.
Yeah, it was a very fortunate series of events. Yeah, it's weird how it happened. Like I did like this thing called a life book, where you just plan out your life a bit, set some intentions. Like it's quite a lot. It's like 50 pages long. I did that, and then like a year later, I'd got into like trading stocks with my friend. Like we were making good money, mate. Like, I'd gone from like $2,000 to like 10 grand within like a couple of weeks. He'd done he'd gone from like 5 grand to 30 grand. So we were talking about getting a house and everything. We were like looking for properties. We had like a viewing booked. Then the markets crashed. We both pretty much lost everything. So that was tough. And my mum raised the question. She's like, "Why don't me and you buy the house together?" And I was like, "I don't really want to live with you." So she wanted to move out anyway with her boyfriend. So then, she basically funded the deposit. Because I had like a decent paying job, so did she. We put that together to get a mortgage together. So very fortunate, unfortunate, because I lost all my money in stocks, but like it sort of worked out long term, I guess.
That's interesting. Never really heard people do that, but that does kind of make sense. She almost bought the house for you, kind of, but you then pay for it, because I know they don't like giving them to like young people, because they're like, oh, they don't trust you to pay it back or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's an investment for her. Like, she's self-employed, doesn't earn tons, so she couldn't get a mortgage by herself. I didn't have the deposit for a mortgage, so we sort of just put both of our benefits together, and it worked out.
Yeah, nice. And I want to talk about your YouTube channel. Like, I thought I almost like forgot this, but like, you recently, so you're kind of making videos around like, I don't know what you call it, spirituality. I'd say even mental health, maybe, with the Carnivore a bit, but that was a bit of the earlier days, meditation and all that stuff. So like, you had a video blow up recently. I think it's like 120k views, and that kind of pulled up your whole channel. What was it? You went from 70 subscribers to 2.5k.
Yeah, in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great to watch, man. What has that taught you?
What has it taught me?
Or like, what are the feelings now? Like, where'd you go from here?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, I always think back to what like Ali Abdul says. He's like, get started, get good, get smart. Like, and I've got started, I've got some traction. Like, now I need to start getting good. I need to start getting smart about it. but at the same time, like I got that growth by being authentic, by sharing content about my passions, what I was already doing. I wasn't going out of my way to like target a specific niche with like a certain affiliate product. Like I just did what felt right, and that attracted money to me. Like I made money off the affiliates. Like I got in touch with the guy who made the Breathwork course. Like I've got a potential job offer from him now. Like so many crazy things happened. But also it took 10 months to go from 0 to 70 subscribers. Like, and then it was 2 weeks to go from 70 to 2.5k. So there's a lesson in that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but
slowly and then all at once.
Yeah, like
compound interest or whatever.
Yeah, like Danko speaks of it as well. He's like he's blown up pretty recently. He says something along the lines of he articulated it so beautifully, and I can't fucking remember what he said, but like he basically said like you do all of the work and then the results just happen. Like it doesn't come slowly and steadily for most people.
Yeah,
like it's literally nothing, everything. Like that's a pattern he sees.
Okay. So do you feel like, I think you said you felt kind of a lot of pressure almost for the next videos. You're like, wow, I've just done this. It's blown up, and it's like now where like a bit of like perfectionism coming in maybe.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I was spending so long trying to like make the perfect ayahuasca video. Like I was spending days writing tons of script, like overthinking it so much, and I just felt stuck. So I was like, I'm just gonna speak into the camera and see what happens. It turned out to be a decent video, and then I've just done that 2 more times, just making random vids, and yeah, I'm over that perfectionism now. I'm just going to create things I want to create, like, and then if people want to come along for the ride, cool. Like, that's the mindset so far.
That's good. Well, because that's the thing I think people might also like lose sight of, because the way your video performed really well in the first place was, like you said, you were being authentic, talking about stuff you like, and then people were suddenly like, oh, I need to make this video perfect. It's like, well, you didn't get here by doing that, if you see what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
you were authentic, you just made videos you wanted to, just keep doing that, and no, maybe not all of them are going to blow up, but that's, I feel like that's how you do it again. And you also have a bit of an audience now, like, who are actually following you and like giving you feedback and stuff.
For sure. Yeah, it's very wise indeed. Just do what works to get. Yeah, it's almost delusional to be like, oh yeah, now I've found something that works, so now it's worked, I'm gonna change it. Like I'm gonna do something different.
So if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? That's one I hear quite a bit. But you made that video, right, almost in a bit of a rush before you went to Peru, and I remember asking you, like, did you think this was a really good video and you thought it was going to do well? And you're like, not really. I mean, I thought it was decent, but... And I think that's so interesting, because I feel like people are always obsessing, like, how do I make the best video? How do I do this? And you were just kind of... You almost rushed the end part by the way you said it. And then you come back and you're like, wow, 100,000 views. So were you... I think... I don't know if you said this or someone else, but did you kind of manifest that? Were you thinking about... Were you thinking about that at all in Peru? Like...
Not... Like, I definitely wasn't thinking, like, I want 100k views, I want 100k views. Like, I was asking a lot, like, a lot of my intentions before going into each ceremony was, like, essentially help me live in line with my truth. Just help me live in line with my truth, like, heal me so I can get out of my own way and live in line with my truth. That was like the core thing.
What do you mean by your truth?
Well, rather than living a life out of fear and ego-driven things, like I'm going to get a stable job that pays me well and I hate it, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for the security, for the safety, rather do live my life from a place of this feels right,
Yeah.
and if it's scary and if it doesn't pay well and if it's dangerous, that's all right because it just feels true to do. Not quite there yet. Still a lot of fear going on. But it's a process.
I think it's always, well, I think we might always be working on that, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
because we are kind of hardwired to like go for safety and security, and that's why your body just loves to stuff yourself full of junk food because there's loads of calories. We need to quickly get them.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, there's lots of. It's interesting. I've been thinking about life as there's definitely a functions aspect to it, where there's just functions hardwired into each human, and sometimes we're like, oh, I'm just like an addict. I'm just craving this thing. It's like, well, actually, that's a function as well. Like, if you're eating sugar, which functions those neural pathways to go, you're going to spiral. Like, so on.
it's like a feature, not a bug, often.
Yeah, just like understand it because it's the stories. Like, do you know what I mean? If you eat sugar, and you're like, oh, I want more. Like, oh, I feel so guilty. I'm such a bad person. Like, now you're stuck in the cycle. Now you're an addict because you've told yourself that story. But if you understand the function, the story changes, and all of a sudden you're not that addict anymore.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know like what you're thinking about like manifestations. Do you think they're legit, or do you think they're kind of like, well, a bit pointless if you don't take action? Or
They're definitely pointless if you don't take action, in my opinion.
so some people like think they're amazing and you need to do this or visualization technique and stuff.
Yeah, like I'm torn between it. Like, I do believe there's some sort of external effects you can have by putting out good feelings and everything. But I think at the root of it, like visualization, goal setting, like feeling gratitude, you're basically showing yourself you're already that person. Like, visualize you've already done it, so you. And then you've got this thing at like your brainstem called the RAS, the reticular activating system, which is essentially the filter. So everything you touch, you see, you smell, you hear, all of these senses go into the RAS, the reticular activating system. So by setting goals, by setting intentions, by visualization, you're coding that filter in your brainstem to essentially seek different things. So like when you're going to buy a new car and you're looking for white Ford Focuses online, all of a sudden you see white Ford Focuses everywhere. Like, it's because your brainstem, you've instilled that code.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the main way manifestation works.
That makes sense. People say like if you're looking for like a red car, like you said, you see a red car. If you're looking for an opportunity, you'll see opportunities.
Exactly.
I think that's probably the main thing from it. I think you're right, is that you almost act like the person and take the actions of the person you want to be, and then because you're acting like that person and doing what they would do, you become them.
Exactly. That's why I've got the words identity written on my mirror in front of me in big words.
Yeah. Isn't that your word for this year?
Yeah, that's the theme. I believe everything stems from that.
So what big changes have you made to your identity? That can be recently or just at all across your whole journey. I would imagine you kind of got rid of that partying, like drinking kind of identity.
Yeah, that's gone. Well, a little bit lives on. Like, even when I'm doing breath work, I'm partly doing it to alter my consciousness and escape myself. Like, so there's still a little bit of that part of me that seeks intensity, seeks altering my mind. I just do it through less harmful ways. I don't know. Like, I've joined a few men's groups recently. Like, I've joined an online one, and I'm actually going up to do like a really intense one, like in person for 3 nights and 4 days at the end of this month, actually. So I'm hoping this year I just want to spend more time with people I want to become like,
Yeah.
and absorb parts of their identities. Because I sort of believe if I already knew what I wanted to become and how to become it, I probably would have become it already.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool thing about podcasts. I can speak to these cool people. But yeah, I remember you said to me like you wanted to be around more strong men, and I think it makes sense. Like, environment design is like so important. If you're in a place where everyone around you is just pulling you down, like giving you hate, they don't think you can achieve what you say you're going to achieve. Whereas if you have like a bunch of people who are all like hustling, all going for the same goal, like I think it's way more chance of it happening.
100%. Like, no one wants to be the guy who drops the ball.
You're all like pushing each other more, whereas in the other scenarios, everyone's like pulling each other down. It's like the opposite effect.
Yeah. So, yeah, having a strong, just being part of something gives you purpose. Like, even if it's just being part of a group and the mission is to complete these 4 days together, like, that's a beautiful thing in and of itself, even if nothing changes afterwards.
What are you going to be doing? Like 4 days of what? Like working?
I have no idea. Like,
You don't
the
know.
guy who owns the ayahuasca retreat I went to, afterwards, he's like, you should really come to this event. Like, it would really suit you well. It's shrouded in mystery. Like, it could be a big scam. I could get abducted. Like, it could be like some weird sex cult. Like, I have no idea what it is. Yeah, it looks cool. And either way, it'd be an adventure.
Be careful, man. But yeah, okay. Interesting. Shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, that would be cool. That was the same with the ayahuasca retreat as well. Like, the ayahuasca retreat was brand new. It had no reviews. Like, it was also shrouded in mystery. Like, so that kind of stuff excites me.
Are you glad you went? Because you said it kind of helped you for the short period, but then you come back and it's just kind of. When you say it like went back, do you mean it completely went back to how it was before? Or it's like just went back but not so bad?
Yeah, I completely went back to how it was before I went. But it made me realize that I've still got to do the work. There's nothing out there that's going to save me. And that's the main reason I'm glad. Like, I'm sure lots of cool stuff happened behind the scenes, like just in terms of like trauma being released from my nervous system, like things in my brain being able to be processed. Like, lots of stuff happened for sure. But a lot of it was also, I was shown two paths. It was like, if you behave this way, like instant reward, being just like an instant gratification type of person out of fear, you'll end up here as a sad person with regrets. If you take the risks and you move towards fear, then the fear dissipates and good things come. So now I've been thrown back into the real world. Like, I still have free will, or at least we think we do. I've got to make the choice of which one I do. I've got to execute the lessons I was taught by the plants, and I've got to take responsibility for it. And that's the main reason I'm glad I went, although it didn't fix me, is now I know, like, I'm the one who's got to do it. I can't put that responsibility on anyone or any plant, any medicine. Like, it's down to me.
Yeah. I know Jordan Peterson has a similar activity, if that's the right word, yeah, where people, you write like 10 years from now, whatever, the perfect life, like the best it could be, and the worst one, and like what you'd have to do to get to each one. And he says put that somewhere you can see it or something, and like you're saying, you've got the choice between this easy path, short-term pleasure, and then regret, versus the more friction path, but it's more like fulfilling in the long run.
For sure.
Be interested, like, I know you do breath work and stuff.
Yeah.
How has that helped you?
So I first did the breathwork before I went to Peru. I kind of rushed it. I had some cool experiences of old states of consciousness, um, kind of psychedelic without the visuals. A lot of the psychedelic feelings of feeling connected, feeling out of body. Um, didn't think much of it, didn't do much when I got back. Recently started a new course where I'm doing it every day for 21 days and it's getting intense. I'm getting profound insights come through like on a daily basis. I'm accessing states of consciousness that are like, they're just so beautiful, so peaceful. This morning I did one, and towards the end of it, about half an hour in, do you know I told that story about like the demon being ripped off my back?
Yeah.
I got little hints of that again. Like I felt this like whoosh, it's like of warmness wrap around me, and then little things out of my ribs were being pulled out. And it's actually been proven that DMT is produced inside the mammalian brain. Like it's been proven in rats, and DMT is actually produced in similar amounts to like dopamine and serotonin. So I was thinking with the breath work, like maybe some DMT's been produced. So I was having this like I was getting little hints of like ayahuasca vibes. Like it was really weird.
Yeah. Because DMT is what makes us dream, right? Or that's what they think.
I'm not sure about that one.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like reasonable.
Or something to do with, or maybe it was people who have like more DMT have vivid dreams. Something to do with dreams. But it's interesting how it can, when you're awake, you're using it as well.
Yeah, well, they think so. Like this is like new research, and I've only scratched the surface on it by watching a few YouTube videos. But what I took away from it is that there seems to be proof that DMT receptors are found like in like your optic nerve sort of thing. So in that way, DMT is almost a reality building molecule. Like the sensory inputs that go from the external world, the light particles go into your eyes, and it's them like, I don't know what happens, but DMT's involved somehow. In the same way that like dopamine's the neurotransmitter, it's like DMT's the neurotransmitter for like visual things.
Wow, that would explain why people have all sorts of like hallucinations and stuff. Or seeing stuff when they take it.
Sure.
What? This is kind of linking back a bit to earlier. We were talking about like, what point did you realize that diet could have like a big effect on the mental health? Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize quite how powerful diet can be.
Yeah, it was about this time last year, and I'd tried a lot of things. Like I'd quit the weed, I'd quit the nicotine, I'd done hypnotherapy, I'd done 12-step programs, like I'd done like Mind Valley courses. Like I thought I was doing all the right things, but I still felt awful. Like I had glimpses of feeling good throughout all of that healing, but I still felt awful. So I was pretty desperate. I tried the carnivore diet through getting lots of information, YouTube videos, and on day 30, I actually felt alive, and I was like, whoa, like this is like reality. This is what like normal people feel like. Like I literally felt like a superhuman.
Time to eat mayonnaise.
Pardon?
Now it's time to eat mayonnaise.
Yeah, exactly, man. I've always got self-sabotage. Through direct experience, I've felt the benefits, and then after that, I've done quite a lot of looking into the science, and
I think it links back to what we said. Like, if you're not doing it the way nature kind of evolved and intended, like with the ecosystem, with your diet, your body is gonna have problems. Like, it's not necessarily running on what it kind of wants.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't want seed oils. That's for sure.
It's disgusting. It's vegetable oils. Yeah. So are you going? We're dotting around a bit here, but aren't you going to? Did you say you're going to Bali soon?
No, I want to, but just don't feel like the right time. Like it's not the right time for me to go and do that yet.
Or were you just thinking of like working there and seeing what it's like?
I'm curious. I've always wanted to go to like Thailand, like Southeast Asia area, like Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, like
Same.
be be a digital nomad and live the dream. But I'm still going to be the same person going there. So like, if I feel like my life sucks here, my life's going to suck when I get over there as well. So I need to sort out the internal stuff first, hence the identity theme. And then when I'm so grateful to live where I am now, then I can go travel, because like then I will truly enjoy it and I'm not trying to run away.
That's an interesting way of looking at it, yeah. It seems like you've already made a lot of progress. Like, how long do you think, I mean, this is probably a hard question to answer, but do you think you're nearly there, or you still got a lot of work to do, as you keep saying?
Nearly there. Like, it's been about 2 years of the journey now, maybe a bit more. I've made a ton of progress. Like, so another year or two, I've no doubts it will all come together nicely.
Yeah, and you kept mentioning this term, like doing the work. What do you mean by like the work? Is it kind of like meditation and self-examination and studying your kind of subconscious as much as you can, or?
It's a good question, because I'm still trying to figure that one out myself. Like, people like, I hear all the time, they're like, yeah, just do the work, and it's like, it's just whatever feels right. Like, I think it's more of a mindset. Like, doing the work is a mindset of like being willing to just do the work. Like, and the work is whatever comes to you at this point in time. Like, for some people, like the work will be quit smoking weed. For some people, it will be stop binge drinking. For some people, it's get clear on what you want to do. Like, do some meditation, like do some exercise, sort your diet out. Like, it's a continuous process of like removing obstacles from your life. In my opinion, that's what doing the work means.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. It's just like self-work and sorting out your brain and body so you can go out and do things in life.
Yeah. Kind of paradoxically, like, I guess most suffering is caused by like our attachment and clinging to things. So if we could figure out a way to just let go and like get rid of all these stories in our brains that like build up our identities, like just wipe the slate clean by surrendering, like we'd probably pretty much be fixed. Like, you'd just become like instantly enlightened and be sweet.
But you wouldn't have like some of that stuff, I think, is important. I think like it kind of builds you who you are. I know you said you kind of want to get rid of the identity, but you know, like, you should be an enlightened person with like nothing about you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that doesn't resonate with me. That sounds pretty boring, to be honest. Like, I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? We're here in this physical realm. Like, I mean, this is the thing that gets me about spirituality, right? Like, some people are like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit and I'm just gonna bathe in these higher states of consciousness and like essentially escape the human thing, because I know there's like something above. And it's like, all right, first of all, you only know those things as a human being experiencing those spiritual experiences. Like, so there's no guarantee there's anything above us. Like, it could all be inside our brains, like, because there's no dead people that are like, we just don't know. Like, but what we do know is that alive human beings can experience these things. And then you've got the whole like physical realm to explore. Like, there is fun stuff to do, like go cliff jumping, go snorkeling, like drive a Bugatti. Like, I want to do that as well. Like,
yeah, that's the thing I kind of had at one point where I was just like, you're kind of learning about like materialism and how like people talk about like desire is suffering and all this materialism won't make you happy and stuff, but I do still want to do some of that stuff. And I've said it a lot, like I think I would just probably like rent a supercar every now and then and just go for like a week and just go driving and have fun or whatever. But I don't think you permanently want to own that stuff because you get used to it and it's not like fun anymore. But I think experiences are way more valuable than stuff, definitely.
100%. Yeah, like money and material things will basically amplify how you already feel. Like, so if you're depressed and lonely and you get money, do you know what I mean? You'll just destroy yourself with the cocaine addiction and prostitutes. Like, if you're already happy and like fulfilled and good, like the money will only amplify that. That's how I see it at the moment.
It comes back to doing the work.
Yeah, like fix yourself first. Like there's the guy who made transcendental meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, literally just came out of the Himalayas into the Western world, and he's like, what is going on here? Like everyone's sick, everyone's miserable, like this isn't the way we're meant to live life. And he started teaching his meditation technique, transcendental meditation. And one of his core messages is like, don't reject like the physical world. Like you can live a 200% quality of life. The first 100% is being like good and centered and like awake within yourself. Like your baseline is already 100. So material things only make it better, but you don't feel worse without them. You already feel great.
Yeah, I mean that message about amplifying is pretty good. Because if you're like kind, you're going to be kinder and like donate to charity or whatever, help people out. Whereas if you're miserable, then yeah, probably just make you more miserable.
Yeah, you just become a Scrooge. Like,
yeah, you won't even turn the lights on because you're trying to save so much money. I want it all, never use it, and just miserable.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. You'll always want more because the internal void is just never ending. Can't fill it.
Oh, that's probably one of the last things I'll ask, but like, do you know much about these different frequencies? Because I hear people talk about like theta waves and alpha waves, and I haven't looked into them at all. Like, do you know anything about them?
Yeah, vaguely. So those different wavelengths are basically when scientists put like those brain caps on you in a lab and they measure the frequency of like brain waves inside of you, they've begun to associate different states of consciousness with different frequencies of brain waves. So for example, when you wake up in the morning or you're just falling asleep, you're in like alpha and theta brain states. When you're in those states, you're in a higher state of consciousness that's not as alert, but it's still switched on.
I think I heard people talking about that's when you want to do like visualization and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that works, but I've heard that.
Yeah, it's because your subconscious, like your logical brain isn't as turned on as much, so your subconscious is like you're more suggestible.
You're halfway between, kind of.
Yeah.
Being like completely asleep and awake. So yeah.
Yeah, like that's a big thing in hypnotherapy. Like the hypnosis part is like putting you into that like brainwave state where your brain is receptive to suggestion, and then the hypnotherapy, they're just suggesting things and your subconscious gets it.
But do you know about any others? Because that's the alpha theta is kind of in between, and then I'm sure there's like gamma delta probably with all the Greek letters.
So this might be completely wrong, but I remember vaguely when I was doing one of the breathwork courses, they were basically saying like, so you do the breath work, like, and you basically hyperventilate, you hold your breath, your oxygen levels drop, so you've got less oxygen, you've got like anandamide in your brain, like these other chemicals come in, and also gamma brain waves are activated in this state. So a big part, and when you've got those gamma brain waves, you're more receptive to like the I think Carl Jung called it the super mind, like an intelligence that extends beyond the human. Um, and like I experience this on a daily basis now. I do the breath work and I get all these insights just come in and come in and come in.
And you don't think it's from you? These aren't thoughts you've already had before?
Like some of them are. Some of them are thoughts I've already had. But some of them are just insights that are like, that's weird. I never thought of that. And I believe that's attributed to gamma brainwaves.
Okay. I'll look them up. I mean, I don't expect you to have like the whole list, you know, but yeah, it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's about the extent of my knowledge on it.
Well, it's more than me, so thank you. You've taught me something there. The one thing I think is interesting, I saw Carnivore Aurelius. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually saying how he thought Wim Hof and some of these breath works could actually be kind of more harm than good for some people, because I think he was talking about the oxygen levels or something and how people's body temperatures are like declining, or they have been. Or maybe it was cold therapy, actually. I'm not sure, to be honest. I just thought it was interesting because you hear a lot of people saying how great all this stuff is, and I thought it was interesting to see someone talk on the other side.
Yeah, there's something to it. Like the breathwork courses I do, there's always disclaimers. It's like, if you've got this condition, don't do it. It will cause you harm. Like,
because like you said, you got low oxygen and you've got these chemicals going on in your brain. Like, I don't know if that's a kind of average thing that would happen to you if you were just living life, you know.
Yeah, they can be dangerous. There's one technique I made a video about most recently, and I posted it thinking, this is cool. Like, me and my brother tripped out. Like, that was so cool. Later, the breathwork coach reached out to me, and he's like, you know, you're actually cutting off the blood supply to your brain, and you're cutting off the flow of spinal fluid. So, like, your brain literally thinks it's dead. I was like, what? Like, I did not know that.
That's why this stuff kind of scares me a little bit. Like, not really breath work so much, but when I hear people talk about psychedelics, like, these are mind-altering drugs. Like, if you take this, your brain might change in a way, and you can't change it back, and it's just kind of messed up. So I'm just kind of like, I think my brain's all right. I think I'll just leave it how it is.
Yeah, don't mess with it if it's fine. Like, yeah. So,
Big
like,
disclaimer here, we're not recommending anyone take anything. It's your fault if you die or whatever.
That's on you. Like, yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan podcast, Joe asked him about doing psychedelics, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was just like, I'd never touch psychedelics because the human consciousness is just too fragile. Like, and like there's something to it. We're very carefully like designed beings, like so.
Counter to that though, we also can be like quite resilient. You see, that's why you see some people can like neglect themselves and smoke or whatever and still live to be like 100 just because they're genetics or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have definitely got to be careful with it.
For sure. Like, yeah, bad things can happen. Like, what was it? It's like in America, they did loads of like studies with like LSD in the CIA. Like, it was like a pretty big thing. Can't remember what the project was called, but it had like a real like, it's like Project X or like something weird like that. And one of the study victims turned out to be like a mass killer in America. Like, I can't remember his name. I don't think it was Ted Bundy. It was another guy who wrote like a manuscript and was like against big tech. Like, yeah, and he was part of like the initial LSD studies and just turned out.
What were they studying? They were just giving it to people and seeing what happened to their brain.
Pretty much. Like,
and then he went and killed a bunch of people.
Yeah, like years after. I've got to find his name.
Sure.
The Unabomber, that's it.
Project Unabomber. Well, that's his name.
No, so the guy who went like crazy, he was known as like the Unabomber. And it was a big thing. yeah, he was like posting bombs to people and stuff, and like sending weird letters, and
I think you hear it even with depression drugs. I think it's SSRIs. It's like for a lot of people it works well, but it's like 5% or maybe less where it just sends them like crazy. Like I heard a lot. I think it's a lot of people who like shoot up schools of people who had depression and took drugs and just messed their brain up. It didn't work. Actually made it worse.
Yeah, it does, man. One of the side effects, mate, it's funny this, right? One of the side effects of SSRIs, which are used for depression and anxiety, is suicidal thoughts. Like,
yes,
suicidal
I listened
tendencies.
to, I think it was Paul Saladino saying how there's like some evidence coming out now that they might not actually be, because people always say serotonin is like a positive molecule, but there's actually evidence coming out that this might not actually be positive, might actually be making you feel down. It's got like kind of both properties. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, we need to sort this mental health stuff out, man.
So people, I think first steps, people just need to like sort out their diet, sort out their sleep, get some sunlight, do some exercise, and I think people should do all of that first before going to take pills, to be honest. I know there are probably people who, even if they do all of that, are still going to be like messed up and they need some medicine or something. But there was a quote I heard, it was like, if your depression disappears when you're on holiday, you don't have depression, you just hate your life.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true.
And I think that word gets thrown around a lot. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm just like, And there definitely are people, I'm not discrediting that, but I think some people, they could reverse it or get rid of it if they just did, like, made some changes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful quote. Yeah, I like that. Go on holiday and you're not depressed. You're not depressed. You just hate your life. That's beautiful.
So anything else you want to talk about? Because I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I love talking about all this stuff, especially with a man in such a smart suit. What a pleasure! What a pleasure!
I appreciate you doing this. Yeah, it's been good. We've yeah, like I said, we've kind of gone a few different places, but it's definitely been interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been exciting.
Because I feel like some of the stuff I've talked about so far on this podcast, like a decent amount of it I already know like quite a lot about. Like if we're talking about people who start on their YouTube channels and like overcoming like judgment and stuff, but stuff like this, I'm not. I know a decent amount about the carnivore stuff, but the spirituality stuff, man, I'm not nowhere near as like deep in it as you. So it's super interesting to hear like what you've experienced from it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to share. I'll link you a breathwork thing that's not going to cut off your terrible spinal fluids to your brain. Like,
okay, sure.
It's only 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'll check it out. So if anyone's still listening, I'll have your YouTube link in the description of this. So if you want to hear more from Callum, you check that out and give us a review if you like. So I think that's it, man.
Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you.
Oh, mate. Right. It's been a pleasure. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, talk soon. Bye.
Take care, mate. Bye.